Hello, everyone. Hi. Thanks for joining us. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight for an evening to talk about one of our BJC residents. I'm Shane Prada. I'm the director at the BJC. I'm going to do a quick introduction before turning it over to the main event. Tonight, you're going to hear from Valerie Ho, who has been a resident artist at the Baltimore Jewelry Center for the month of August. Originally from Hong Kong, Valerie received her Bachelor of Arts in Visual Arts from Hong Kong Baptist University in 2018. While studying as an undergrad, Valerie spent 1 year as an exchange student at the Maine College of Art in Portland, Maine. It was here or there at the Maine College of Art that Valerie first found her interest in jewelry. In 2021, Valerie began an MFA program in jewelry and metalsmithing at RISD, where she will return this week to begin her second and final year of grad school. It's a very big week for you. Valerie is really interested in local culture and the exploration of personal identity. She uses local research and materials in the jewelry that she creates. Before I turn it over to Valerie, I'll just let you know that you can share comments and questions in the chat tonight. We're going to have time to discuss those comments and questions after Valerie's presentation, when we'll also take a look at her work in the hallway gallery, which I'm going to tell you is really fun and is for sale. So it's been wonderful to have Valerie here in August, and we're sad to see her go, but we're very excited to hear from her tonight. Without further ado, here she is.
So, hello everyone, and welcome, and thank you, Shane, for introducing me. Hello everyone, and welcome to my artist talk today. I'm Oi Ying Valerie, and a jeweler from Hong Kong. So, Hong Kong is the place where I was born and raised. Experiencing the Hong Kong protests until 2019 was a strong political awakening for me. It's also reignited my awareness of the engagement of the city and the society. Politics is a serious and complex subject that not everyone wants to be conscious of, but it can also be separate, but it can also not be separate from our lives. So I choose to engage with it because I feel responsible for that as a Hong Kong citizen. Reflect on it is his own way, which is the protesters usually say. This can be interpreted literally. Besides being out the truth that the process is not about becoming failures for all, as fighting for democracy on the street. It is about how we strive to do our best within the limits of our efforts and contribute in the area which we're familiar with. Which I need to do, and what I can do is record and respond to what is happening in the society around me through jewelry, my form of artistic expression, utilizing my voice and inform my unique perspective. I hope to make an impact, but not aim to become a political artist, but to leave a historical testimony. The Black Blocks is a set of works that record the present in 2020. The works consist of a box of slides and a slide viewer. I feel very powerless and unable to leave any marks or change the society when I begin to work with this series of works. Hong Kong has changed day by day. Layers of wire nets were built on the walkway, and the street protest graffitis was erased. I don't know how long this kind of life will last and how much the continuous change will be. I decided to walk around the city with my film camera, and I began the journey for documenting before the regime forced me to forget. I record some locations that contained my camera, such as where the policeman fired a handgun to the protesters, the place the citizen occupied to cause a stroke, and also where the governments turned a university campus into a battlefield. This series of works is the works that I will usually take it out and refill. However, some of the locations have already been destroyed, such as the Goddess of Democracy statue on the university campus, which has been used to record the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest. Even if the city changed comprehensively one day, I can still recollect the memory through the slide, or maybe show the others where I used to live or what I used to remember. Jewelry for me is an extroverted medium. It can be circulated in a society with the body on the public, like a billboard on one's body, acting as a movable communication media. With the same time, jewelry actively invites the viewers to pay attention to what we are aware of. We will usually only proactively putting something on our body that we think it can represent to ourselves, like a manifesto. My previous work, Nonviolence is our greatest weapon, created in 2021, criticized the over-zealous police response to the nonviolence protests in Hong Kong. Since the social movement on 2019, the issue have already been extended to the police brutality. For example, excessive force that the police use, the use of live weapons, the unreasonable arrest, always turning what started as a peaceful demonstration into a violent clash in between the police and the public. However, the regime and the police are linked together. Police officers were awarded silver and bronze medal of bravery, respectively, and those awarded policemen also suffered bodily injuries due to the attack by the protest. Everything happens for a reason. The protesters will not take a provocation with no reasons. There should be something happen to trigger the things happen afterwards. Therefore, I print several images largely on the rice paper, reflecting the scenes that before the sufficiency, and present a more complete pictures to what's happening to the public in the corresponding metal frame. The victors write the history. Only those who experience know the truth. History does not necessarily need to be recorded by the regime. Not to mention when the governments suppress opposition and they have biased position on what they are working for. It makes it even more incumbent for me to document the unofficial history and record the revolution of our time by my practice independently. I believe this is my responsibility of my jewelry. Recombining culturally charged found metals in the new context communicates the emotions that I have in the historical events. Through different carrier of information, I manifest my perceptions through the process of conversion and give a new definition of the nationality and patriotism modifies in the context of Hong Kong. And other sort of works, serving Hong Kong with honor, duty, and loyalty, critiques people who is in the side of the tyranny, and also the shame of wearing the justice and concessions of the monetary gain. Some Hong Kong entertainers stand on the side of the Chinese Communist Party propaganda and make a beneficial interest, blaming the students and defending the Communist Party. Perhaps supporting the police have nothing wrong, but actually the Hong Kong society has tied the issue of the police enforcement with the true universal suffrage together, and amendments for the extradition bill law during the demonstration. I destroyed their cities and make it as an action against them, and try to transfer the script into the political pins of the Communist Youth League of China. Besides, I work on the characteristics of a double-sided pin too, which shows the message to the public by the outer surface and hide another one in the inner surface. Due to the situation in Hong Kong nowadays, it's really hard to blame on the police brutality because it may be read as a kind of endangering the national security. The pin serves as a spy object, which showing a fake standpoint as a self-protection, and also the true belief on the inner surface, which is quite sad. But when wearing the pin, the faith is holding, and the grit and wisdom of the protesters never fade. Jewelry can encourage and consolidate the bondings of my companions as a group by representing a collective identity and shared value system. As a course of action, I hope that it can pass the message to gain the support to the people who share the same universal values. Other than pins, I start to research on political buttons. Don't pretend that everything is normal. It's about the street protest graffitis on wall painted over the city. It is a way to visualize it is a race that the governments officially erased the memory of the protesters, but actually they never directly respond to the protesters' demands actually. Scratch-on stickers were put on the photos of graffiti recording and share the same characteristics as the paint. This way is expressed, the button is more realistic and it's transformed different serious political issues into an easy and daily accessible method. The wearer can choose to unfold the political buttons by scratching off the top, and it can also be served and let the audience who don't aware of the related issues uncovering the related issues physically. With the development of technology, the political graffitis can be interacted by scan and translate from the Google Image Translate to pass the message to gain the support from the others who share the same universal value, but we speak in different languages. There is no doubt that fighting against the regime will be a long journey to facing different suppression levels, but I believe contemporary jewelry can be the way of predicaments under the circumstances, and it serves as an object of demonstration and a medium to leave a historical testimony in Hong Kong. So now I'll talk about the projects I worked during my residency in Baltimore Jewelry Center. Both of the series was inspired by the trail I walk every day from the apartment to the Baltimore Jewelry Center. That's the reason why I named my project or my exhibition named Hang Lu Lan in Cantonese, and which can translate as a walkaholic, the type of person who loves to explore the city by taking a stroll or walking a lot. The first impression of the Baltimore, the first impression that the Baltimore brings me is that it is nearly sunny every day. The weather here is terribly good, and I guess it's also the reason why there is a lot of wild weeds growth very energetically in everywhere. And then actually, in my mind, it is not like my normal impression, and because of the scale of them, it's really significantly coming up from the ground. I love to bring my film camera and travel around because I love to document the funny things that I met. It inspired me to work with the sun and create some cyanotype prints on the paper with the living wild weeds I saw every day when I walking back to the studio, and create the series called Blue is the warmest color, probably the hottest color. And also walking around the city, it's very easy to find graffiti because it's also nearly everywhere else all around you. When exploring Baltimore, you'll feel that there is like a hidden gem, and it tends to be a cultural and artistic hub. Graffiti are the elements that make Baltimore a more energetic city. The graffiti in Baltimore are creative, colorful, and bold, and first change the characteristics and first change the character of the perpendicular area, and where you can find the graffiti. The neighborhoods are brightened up, and the cultural value of the area is increased. It brings Baltimore its own characteristics and bring a more wonderful to what's happening, and makes it to become more wonderful in what's happening in here. And I start to wonder what will be happen if the graffiti start to disappear in the city. So I create another series named The Hidden Gem. It is similar as my previous work. The audience will be able to interact with some of the buttons through the process of scratching and exploring the graffiti hiding around Baltimore physically and literally through the piece. As I mentioned before, Baltimore may be an underrated city. The neighborhood here is one of the funniest one that I have never explored, and I have a lot of good time here. So I would like to express my gratitude to the Baltimore Jewelry Center, the staff I meet in here, my benchmates, the other residency artists, and also the friends that I met in here. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you guys will enjoy my show.
So much.